Hi friends, it's Whitney Shattuck from the First Grade Roundup in video 3 of my RTI intervention grid template on Google Drive. In video 1 we talked about how to assess your kiddos, how to put them on the table, what that's going to look like for your classroom, and how to use this document in your classroom as you pull small groups. Okay. In video 2 we talked about now what do I do as a team to make this intervention block time work with my PLC. So we talked about making a new intervention grid template to put all of the names, each kid on your grade level intervention grid. Okay, and what that would look like, how to make sure that they're only in one box, and all of that business. The other thing I think that I failed to mention in video 2 is that one good thing to do, even the best of us, even the most OCD of us, make mistakes when you're trying to transfer things from documents. So I always like to go back and with a class list and make sure that everybody is somewhere on this document. Okay, so what I've done in between video 2 and video 3 is I've just put in some other first grade names, random family names, in case anybody is thinking I'm using real student names. These are all family names, and as you can see clearly, my family's headed to Disney World here in just a few weeks, so Disney's on my mind with some of these names too. So I did not do the entire document just because I think you should get the drift with just these couple of categories. But what we're going to talk about is how to decide who teaches what, because as you'll notice on this intervention grid, there are almost 25 different categories. And I don't know anybody that has 25 teachers available at hand to pull groups all at the same time. It just doesn't happen, although it'd be lovely. Real world, we know better. So typically what we had this last year is we had 5 first grade teachers. Okay. In addition to those 5 first grade teachers, we had 3 other instructional aides that came to help us, and then we had an interventionist that helped, that did our tier 2 intervention. Okay, this could be like a reading recovery specialist or whatever. Ours was just a certified teacher as opposed to a classified person. Okay, so we technically had 9 people on our intervention team. However, really we just had 8 because one of them was dedicated to that Lexia Lab group. Oh, forgive the yawn. Good gracious. Okay, so the first thing to know is that your interventionist or whomever is getting tier 2, that's just taken care of. That's their problem now. They can figure out how they're going to pull those kids. If they have too many of them, they may need to split them into groups and get a helper, which is kind of what ours did at one point in the year, this year. That's just up to them. That's sort of their problem, as we talked about this past week. Okay, or this past year. The rest of the kiddos were left up to 8 people. So I'm going to say that you have 8 people on your team. You may be more fortunate than us and have more than that. You may have fewer than that. This is even something where you could get creative if you don't have enough people. See if you have parents, one parent that could come in one day a week for that 30 or 45 minute block of time. Have a Monday parent, a Tuesday parent, a Wednesday parent. We just did intervention block 4 days a week, so we took Mondays off. So that might be something that they could work on if it was a simple enough group like letter names. Okay, so think outside the box with that too. So it doesn't matter how many people you have, you just need to know how many teachers you have and then what you're going to do with those groups. Okay, so if you have, we had 125 first graders because we had 25 in each of our 5 classes. And so then if you have 8 teachers, like if I took out 4 or 5, so I only have 120 that aren't in tier 1, so I have 120 that aren't in tier 2. So I have 120 tier 1 kiddos, and I have 8 teachers, then that's going to be, good grief, my math is failing me. That's going to be about 15 kids in a classroom. So you don't really want to get more than that. Although I will say that your extension kids really could be a full classroom or close to it anyways. That would free up some of these like orange level kiddos to have fewer kids in a class. On my team last year, I taught the critical need kiddos that were not in tier 2 or not necessarily in tier 2 um, or may have been in tier 2 but not necessarily getting Lexia from school. And so they would have been right about here, these little babies right here, especially at the end of the year. And I did not have any more than 9 or 10 kids in my classroom at a time. And and really it would have been nice if I only had 6 groups at a time, or even if I had, a dozen kids where I could pull 6 of them and 6 of them could be doing something independent and then switch 20 minutes and 20 minutes, however you want to work that. But really you want your smaller numbers in your most critical areas for intervention. Okay, so right here, if this is what my grade level grid looked like, just these 2 categories, again, that's all I've panned out for you so far. These kiddos are taken care of. Then I might say, whoop, that looks like a group right there. Okay, 3 is probably not a waste of a teacher, but a teacher can use more than just 3 kiddos and take care of it. So I would probably put that in a group. Okay. Red group, group 1. You could circle this, you could make however you want to do it. If you have pencil and paper, circle it group number 1 with the teacher's name under it, however you want to do it. But I would combine those, okay? And let's just say, like I could even do that. Let's just say Shattuck's going to teach this group right here. Then I would just put my name. They're the same color, so I know that's the same group. There's 5 kids. That's not too bad. Okay. This group right here, if we're talking about at the beginning of the year, these are probably kind of on grade level kiddos. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 kiddos. So that's just about right for one size for a classroom. Now later on in the year, if this is an intervention level, kids are supposed to be doing blends, but they're only doing CVCs and I have this many, then I might need to split those between teachers. But for now, 15 kids in a classroom, that's not bad at all for an on grade level skill. Okay, and then I would put up here at the top who my teacher is going to be. We'll just use my maiden name. And they're all in the same color. Okay. Then again, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids on digraphs, and really they're kind of ahead of schedule. So I could throw sweet little old Justin right there in that same intervention group, and that not be a problem at all. And assign them to another teacher. So right there, even though I have 5 boxes, I've really got only 3 teachers that I've used. Okay. Or I could also do something like combining my digraphs and my level C kiddos or D kiddos. Okay, because really those are going to be kind of similar skills. Anyways, it wouldn't hurt those 2 to be together and overhear some of the things going on in each of those groups. Okay, you decide. There's nothing wrong if you go down here to the reading level. There's nothing wrong with having an A, B, and a C in a group, and you could just that person can just rotate, have like guided reading groups and stations, except you've got fewer kids in your room. If you've got 5, 5, and 5, how awesome is that? You could have 5 kids doing an independent activity, 5 kids with you, 5 kids on the computer doing enrichment or intervention there, and switch those around every 15 minutes or every 20 minutes, however you wanted to do it. So just because there's one box, that does not mean that there's one teacher for that. You decide what works best for your team. Okay, and then the next thing, after you've got that all set and everybody agrees on who's doing what, then you're just ready to start teaching. Okay, and and know that this is a fluid document. Okay, so if I am over here, my intervention group under Shattuck is Karen, Mike, Sully, and Randall, and Boo. And I noticed, man, Boo has really got those letter sounds in. I need to move her over here to VC, CVC. Then I'm going to talk to that teacher and say, hey, I think she's ready for this. Can she come over to your intervention group? And she'll say, sure, great. And she might also say, and guess what? I don't think that Minnie, this is too much for her. I think she needs to go back and do some letter sounds because she's still struggling. So we'll swap kids. Okay? There's no reason why you can't do that a week after you started. If you do one in August and you don't plan to do another grid like this until October, don't wait till October to move Minnie back to letter sounds. She needs that right now. October's going to be too late. Just move her over there. Hopefully you have a team that is open to that, which you can work on. I've been blessed to be on 2 different teams like that. Both my teams that I worked with were very good at flexible grouping and being flexible with that. Okay. The other thing I wanted to point out is there are some kind of written directions that will kind of get you started on the side here, and they do have some links for different products that will help you get started in each of these areas if you're in first grade. Of course, if you are not in K2, then these products may not be as helpful to you, but that's just kind of to get you started and give you a little support there. So I think that about covers it. We've talked about how to transfer your data onto the grid for your classroom document, how to keep that in your classroom and use for small group intervention within your classroom. We've talked about how to then combine everybody's intervention grids into one grade level intervention grid, so you can decide who is getting what intervention during your grade level intervention time and what that looks like. We've talked about how to decide which teachers are teaching what and how to come to an agreement on that. And the rest is up to you. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email at thefirstgraderoundup@gmail.com. I'll be happy to answer any questions. I'll be happy to make any other videos to answer any other questions on how I use this document or on navigating Google Drive in general. So I hope you enjoyed this document. Be sure if you've purchased the document to leave me feedback on what you think of the document. And if you haven't purchased it, head on over to my Teacher Pay Teacher store, the First Grade Roundup, to purchase it. This one, along with, I have several other Google Drive organizing documents that you might be interested in as well. And also remember that as you're using this document, because this one is really a document for you to use with your PLC, just remember those additional licenses that TPT has asked us to talk about. Thanks so much, and let me know if you have any questions. I hope you enjoy this product.